reality, you're just emotionally unstable due to the fact that you have a wounded feminine energy that goes back to your mother and your sister wounds that you are not addressing and you are not dealing with, and you are projecting it onto everybody else like it's everybody else's problem, issue. Somebody say one thing you don't like, or upset you or do anything, you setting it off. I decided to start doing my intros, giving a bit of excerpts on my blog, which is called Letters from Her Mind. I read somewhere that our first experience of loss is when we're separated from our mothers during the time of birth. That we possibly felt as one and complete when we were inside our mother's womb. And to be a daughter, early on, we're learning who our mother is through the way they raise us. We learn how protective they are or controlling. We learn how nurturing they are or detached. What we learn, we unconsciously take on as well. Whether we long for the intimacy and want to cling because we see the emotional unavailability, or we learn to be independent and appreciate our alone times because we're dealing with an overbearing mother. Regardless of what it is, this is what shaped us to be the women we are today and shapes our ideology of what it means to be a woman. You can read the full entire blog just to give your own take on it. If you want to comment, if you want to share your own experiences, at bellamida.com on Letters from Her Mind. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about that excerpt? Are y'all feeling it? I wanted to kind of do that just to give my thoughts, my personal aspects, my views into the topic that we're talking about today. Welcome to Her Mind is Beautiful. This is episode 13, and we are speaking about wounded feminine energy as it relates to mother and sister wounds. And I think this is a very necessary conversation because I think a lot of us do carry baggage, we do carry hurt, we do carry a lot of pain from our childhood that correlates to our relationships with our mothers or mother figures, and our relationships with our sisters or women we were closely raised with. With that being said, I wanted to tackle this topic, and I've spoke about mother daughter, I should say, relationships, and how it affects our relationships with women, be it friendships, be it work relationship, business relationships going forward. But it also affects our femininity. It also affects the way we carry ourselves as women, the way we're able to tap into our feminine energy and be soft and be vulnerable and just be open and receptive. Like, I bring up a topic, the whole B. Simone situation with the friend saying that she was resentful and she did it while B. Simone sat there and watched her struggle and she didn't help, and she felt resentful for that because B. Simone had money and B. Simone had was rich and she was giving money to charity and she was giving money to this. So she kind of felt like she saw her struggling, so she would help. And I gave my take on that, and it really triggered a lot of young women in my comments. And that's what I mean. It triggered a lot of women, and I feel like it's due to certain relationships they've had in their past with women they grew up with, whether they be sisters, cousin, friends, mother figures, whatever the case may be. The whole take, I don't care. I'm not speaking on whether B. Simone was right or whether B. Simone was wrong. That wasn't my issue. I was just speaking on the sense of us being able to sit in a position as Black women to be able to be vocal and say when we need help and ask for help. That was my whole take of it. Did the friend ask for help? But it definitely triggered a lot of Black women in my comments to feel like, why does she have to ask for help? This, that, and the third. And I think it's deeply seeded into some traumas and triggers that we carry in regards to mother wound and sister wounds. And I'm going to get into that. Before I get into that, I am going to, and bear with me, y'all. If y'all see me looking down, I'm sitting here with my laptop. So I just prefer to have my laptop so I can get through this in a timely fashion and I don't go over. I don't go over the time and we have like this long drawn out. This helping me stay on task. So the first thing I wanted to discuss is just, do you all know what wounded feminine is, or wounded feminine energy is? So, because I want to define what wounded feminine energy is, and let's get an understanding of that before I delve into the wounded feminine energy and how we need to start healing our mother and sister wounds in order to heal the feminine energy, the wounded feminine energy. So it says, wounded feminine energy refers to a state where a woman's natural feminine qualities like softness, receptivity, and creativity have been negatively impacted, often due to trauma, societal conditioning, or survival patterns. It's characterized by behaviors like being overly emotional, manipulative, insecure, and codependent. And codependent, people think codependent. Well, I'm not codependent because I don't depend on anybody. Well, you don't have to be the person who's dependent on someone else. You can be dependent on someone depending on you. That's where you may see your value. Like, you need people to need you. If you don't feel needed, then you don't feel of value. So codependency works both ways. If someone says you're codependent, it doesn't mean that you're just dependent on somebody else to provide for you, to give you, to pour into you. It could be that you are dependent on those to depend on you. You're dependent on someone needing you to pour into them and give to them. So that's a codependent relationship, which is an example of trauma bonding, but that's a whole nother story. Healing this involves reconnecting with one's authentic self, embracing self-love, and fostering healthy boundaries. Just overall, wounded feminine energy is basically when your feminine energy is imbalanced. It's just another way of saying imbalanced feminine energy. So you may suppress your emotions. You might not be open and receptive to be vulnerable and speak on your emotions because you feel like that shows weakness. You don't trust women, and you perform a lot. You perform, you operate in your masculine energy to cover up your real vulnerabilities and insecurities. The fact that you probably do want to have more meaningful, genuine friendships with women, or you do want to find someone, like find a relationship, a romantic partner that you could feel safe with and they could love you for you. Like, it's things that you want, but you kind of mask and pretend and act as if, you're very nonchalant, like it doesn't matter. It's not a factor because of your wounded feminine energy. For those who may sit here and say, well, I still don't relate. Okay, so let's give you some signs of wounded feminine. Some signs of wounded feminine is insecurity and lack of self-worth. And a lot of people feel like they're not. A lot of us as Black women, I noticed, that feel like we aren't insecure. right? I noticed this too. I feel like, when I'm promoting and telling women, like, come into Attract Your Tribe community, like heal that feminine energy. Let's connect with that feminine energy. And I say this a lot. I get engagement, but I don't really get women to come in pouring in, which is understandable. Things take time. That's not the point I'm getting at. The point I'm getting at is that I do feel that some of you look at me speaking on healing and connectedness feminine energy because y'all feel like y'all already tapped in. You feel like, oh, wow, my feminine energy, I'm tapped into my feminine energy, because you associate your feminine energy with probably all the things that are not your feminine energy. You think because you dress up, you look cute, that, hey, I'm tapped into my feminine energy. You think because you do some yoga, you burn some sage, you plant some flowers, you meditate, oh, I'm good, I'm tapped into my feminine energy. And that's great. Those are great tools to help you tap in and help you to connect with your feminine energy. However, those are just the actions. So if the actions aren't aligned and connected with what you have going on internally within, then you're still just simply performing. You're not tapped in. Doing yoga is not just going to simply tap you into your feminine energy. Doing yoga is going to help. It's a tool to allow you the space in the room to tap into that, to like release the tension, release the masculine overwhelm, to allow you the space to be able to be vulnerable and self-reflect and just start looking inward at things that you could be healing and improving with. But if you're not healing, if you're not growing, if you're not doing those things, that doesn't mean that you are healing or tapped into your feminine energy. Just you simply doing the yoga or doing the meditation doesn't mean that you are healing. You simply going and exercising doesn't mean that you are healthy, because you go out there and walk and run if you're not going to eat correctly, right? If you're not going to do the proper exercises that's going to help you target the areas you're trying to lose weight in, if you're not doing the overall lifestyle shift. So I'm saying all of this to say that a lot of you out here, and I'm saying this with love, because I know I was there. I was someone who was doing everything that it said I needed to do, and I was wondering why I wasn't yielding any results. And it was because I wasn't aligned. I was doing it, but when it came to the internal things that I need to understand and I needed to see and I needed to feel and I needed to connect with, I wasn't doing that. I thought, okay, I stopped eating meat, I work out, I do yoga, I meditate. Okay, I'm healing. But no, that's just the icing. You're not getting, like that's just the appetizer. That's not the meat and the potatoes. That's not the main course. I wasn't getting to the main course. So I was just still sitting here feeling unfulfilled, feeling like I have no direction. I don't know where I'm going. I'm seeing all of these things and I'm like, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But it doesn't matter if you are not aligned body, mind, and soul. If you're just doing it, it's not connecting here. It's not connecting here. It all has to be aligned. So for those who say, well, I'm not secure, I'm confident. Are you? Or do you act confident? Because it's a difference. You can walk in a room and act like you have confidence, but it's a difference from a woman who walks in the room and she knows. She don't have to act. She don't have to pretend. She don't have to walk in there like she knows. So she just walks in the room, because I don't have to act confident when I am. So your insecurity and your lack of self-worth. You're constantly seeking external validation and struggling with feelings of feelings of inadequacy. And that's why a lot of us can't get the healing that we need, because we're too busy performing and acting like we are healed, acting like we are tapped in, acting like we are confident and we have self-esteem. We're not being honest with ourselves to say, you know what? I do lack confidence. I do feel inadequate. And a lot of times, how you know that's the case, with me, for example, how I know that was the case for me, is how I consistently just felt burnt out and drained, because I'm like, I'm doing. But it never felt like I was doing enough. And that's how you know. That's how you know when you are struggling with self-esteem and lack of worth, because you do a lot, but you still feel like it's not measuring or adding up. People pleasing and codependency. Prioritizing the needs of others over their own. Like, you think that, and I heard a young lady say this, I think I did save it, but I don't remember this young lady's name, but I liked it.
Karma will reward you for overextending yourself.
I'm about to show y'all. Yeah, her name is Deanna. Shouts out to Deanna. Shouts out to Deanna. This is her TikTok. I love what she said. She said, you think that karma is going to reward you for overextending yourself. That's how I feel about the people pleasing and the codependency. Like, you think somehow, because you're going around here trying to prove that you are this good person by overextending yourself, by giving and doing, and I'm here for everybody, you think somehow you're going to get a special seat into heaven. The whole point is, you think you're going to get a special seat. You think you're going to be seen as this special person because you're overextending yourself and just helping everybody out, helping everyone out. And you think that is going to somehow reward you and put you in a position over everybody else, because it's like, oh, you see how much I do for everyone. And see, I've talked about this before. And I've talked about this in regards to the strong friend, how it's always said, oh, the strong friend is there for everybody. The strong friend is doing this for everybody. And yeah, they are, but what is their intentions? Like, if you're doing something from the kindness of your heart, you're not going to then turn around and complain about doing it if you did it genuinely. But when you're doing something for validation, when you're doing something because you want people to see you in a certain light, when you're doing something because you want to be accepted, then it's not genuine, and then it's going to be a level of resentment, because it goes back to what I said. You're doing all the stuff, but you're not seeing the results. Oh, I'm working out. I'm doing all the stuff that I'm supposed to do, but I'm not losing the weight. Oh, I'm overextending myself, people pleasing and being so nice to them, but they still aren't accepting me or treating me like I want them to treat me. Like, they're not treating me like I'm treating them. So it's like, when you think about it, it ain't even genuine with what you're doing. You're actually performing. And you're expecting a reward, or you're expecting something in return out of what you're doing. And some of you all are doing things, or people pleasing, because you really don't want people to see who you really are. For whatever reason, you feel like who you are authentically is not enough. You feel like you don't like that person. You don't want to be seen in that manner and seen in that way. And so you try to show up and distract or deflect from that person by overextending and trying to be something for everybody else. But people see you. You do know that, right? So there are people who see exactly who you are. They see that person that you're trying to hide. But the fact that you're going to try to overextend yourself and put yourself out there, I'll take advantage of it. I accept whatever you give me. I'll pretend right along with you if that means that you're going to keep on giving. But it says prioritizing the needs of others over their own, leading to unhealthy relationships and resentment. That's what I'm saying. I just told y'all that. And like I said with the codependency, it's not just you depending on someone else, because yes, That is a level of that's the one that we know. You know, people who depend, like you depend on people to give to you. You expect, you entitled. No different than to be Simone and her best friend Shekinah. Like you over there struggling and you are dependent on your friend to just come to the rescue and help you without you having to open your mouth and ask for help. That's a level of codependency, but it's also a level of codependency when you are dependent on someone to always depend on you. And there are friendships like that. There are relationships like that. There are mother-daughter relationships like that. Like your mother wants you to constantly depend on her because that's what makes her feel valued. I know. Emotional instability, being overly reactive, experiencing mood swings, and struggling to manage your emotions. The crash outs. I'll crash out. I'll crash out. I'll do this. Like, as some of y'all may feel like, oh, I'm depressed. I'm this. I'm that. But in reality, you're just emotionally unstable due to the fact that you have a wounded feminine energy that goes back to your mother and your sister wounds that you are not addressing and you are not dealing with. And you are projecting it onto everybody else like it's everybody else's problem, issue. Somebody say one thing you don't like or, upset you or do anything, you setting it off. Victim mentality. Feeling powerless and believing the external circumstances control their... Listen, I had to learn this for myself like some years ago. When I did makeup, it was like, oh, nobody wants, no, I can't get the clientele. Oh, I can't, when I wanted to blog and be a vlogger, oh, people don't invite me to these places. I don't get to come out to that places. Like, it was always something. I just complained about everything in my life. I just didn't like anything in my life. Like, but I also didn't want to do anything active about it. I also didn't want to change my circumstances. I wanted to feel powerless and feel like it wasn't up to me. It goes back to the previous episode when we discussed about how the only way you can feel safe in your femininity is if you start feeling safe with yourself, taking your power back, stop relinquishing your power. And when we are in our wounded feminine energy, we love to victim blame. Going back to the B. Simone situation with the friend. Like, y'all want to blame everybody. B. Simone, oh, she should have helped. She should have helped. She should have helped. Instead of putting it on her to say, well, did you ask? Did you even open your mouth and ask? And if you did ask and she said no, she has that right to. You can't get upset about what somebody chooses to do or chooses not to do with their money. It's their money. They have a right to do what they want with their money. And we can sit here all day and say, well, I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that. Yeah, we say that until we in those situations and we clearly see the situation for what it is. Because we on the outside, we don't know the ins and out of B. Simone and her BFF. But when you get in the situation and then you don't want to help somebody and then they start telling the whole world, oh, she didn't want to help. She sat there and saw me struggle. And you said, but I told her not to get that car in the first place. She couldn't afford it. I helped her the last time with her phone bill. I did all of it. Like, and you start saying all the stuff you did. It doesn't matter because that's not the way she gonna present it. She's not gonna present all the times you did help her. She's not gonna talk about all the times you was there and you did show up. What she gonna talk about is the one time you said no. She ain't gonna talk about all the times you said yes. And that's one thing with the B. Simone situation too that I realized. I ain't heard her say, oh, I was resentful because every time I went to you to ask for help, you said no. Or every time I was in the bind, you was never there. She spoke on a specific time and a specific moment about her needing help and B. Simone wasn't there. She didn't say, oh, you never helped me. You've never been there for me. You've never done anything for me. And see, that's my point. It's the victim mentality. Like when somebody tells us no, or when somebody don't give us the answer we want to give, we want to hear, we go straight into a victim mentality like, woe is me, it's everybody else. And I'm going to say something to this too. This is victim mentality too, that I feel like we need to stop. It is detrimental to us as Black women. Please stop doing this. When someone says, okay, if a relationship didn't work out, if a friendship didn't work out, or a job didn't work out, whatever the case may be, and people say, okay, you need to start working on yourself. Maybe you need to take time to yourself. Or even if we say, you know what, I'm going to start working on myself. I'm going to get myself together, but so I don't have to go through this again. Stop taking the approach that, oh, this happened to me because I was too nice. That's still playing victim. Because what you're saying is, oh, I'm just so nice. I just give to everybody. I just be so favorable for everybody. And this is how I get treated. That is not owning your shit, sis. That is not being accountable. The I'm too nice card, please, let's dead that shit in 2025. I don't want to hear that shit no more. Why you are in the situation you in because you was too nice, because you was too giving, because you was too thoughtful. Let's get to the meat and the potatoes of why you really in this situation, okay? And it's not because you too nice. That's not why. It's because you lack self-esteem. It's because you lack self-confidence. It's because you compare yourself to everybody else. It's because you don't see your own worth. That's why. It's not because you too nice. It's not because you just too good of a person. I want to kick that shit out so bad. I just cannot stand it because that is like the ultimate victim mentality thought process of why people feel like they in the position they in, or why they got treated the way they got treated with somebody. Cause I'm too nice. That is a scapegoat. That is low hanging fruit. Please stop doing that. Let's please stop doing that. Please stop thinking that you in the situation you in, that you too nice. And that's why now I ain't finna take no shit. No, you gonna end right back up in the same situation. This is gonna be different players. Because you refuse to work on what it really is that you need to work on. You deflecting with the I'm just too good of a person. Really? To being a good person is not what have people being used, abused in situations. Excuse my French. No. What have you being in a messed up situation is because you lack your own worth. You don't take care of you. You don't pour into you. You don't do right by you. And if you don't do right by you, why would anybody else do right by you? We talking about being in our divine feminine. We talking about attracting. If your energy state is low vibrational and you don't know your worth and you don't see your value and you seeking from everybody else, what type of people do you think you're going to attract in your life? I'm just sick of that. Manipulative behavior, using indirect or subtle tactics to get needs met, often stemming from a fear of direct communication. Using indirect or subtle tactics to get needs met, the manipulative behavior. And I feel like the manipulative behavior ties into the victim mentality. You sit here convincing yourself, trying to convince the world that you got treated wrong just because you were such a good person. And you ain't did nothing wrong. And you don't have nothing that you could say that you contributed into why your situation became what it became. You ain't taking no accountability. And the only accountability you want to take is, oh, it was just me being a good person. That's why I end up like this, because I'm just so good. Like, that's manipulative. Because no, it's not you being a good person that got you here. It's the fact of you not being authentic, you not being genuine, and you're not being real with yourself on the decisions you made and why you made those decisions. You didn't overextend yourself to that person because you just was such a good person and you just felt this person just needed you. No, you overextended yourself to that person because you wanted to be accepted, because you wanted to be seen in a certain view, because you wanted to have a certain image about yourself. And you was willing to put yourself out there to keep pressing and feeding the narrative of what you wanted people to see in regards to you, that you was willing to allow yourself to get stumped all over. Let's have some real talk. Like, let's talk real talk, because I want us to heal. Like, maybe I've been walking on eggshells in the things that I've been saying. Maybe I have not been speaking real enough to y'all and I've been doing y'all a disservice. But let's start talking real. And I'm not just talking to you all. Like, these are conversations that I've had to have with myself. I had to be real with myself, like understanding that why do I keep attracting women around me who are always trying to compete and compare? Why am I attracting these type of people? Well, I can sit here and say, oh, they just jealous of me. I'm just such a good person and I just have this, this is why. Like, granted, yes, you can have a great aura about you. You can have a great light about you and definitely attract people who want to feed off of that light, but they ain't gonna stay that long. You know why they're not gonna stay that long? Because you see it. You know exactly why they're there. And you're not going to entertain the bullshit. So they may attract to you, but you not entertaining that. They ain't gonna be there for long because that's not where you placing or feeding your energy. Like, you not feeding into that. But if they're there to the point where they get to harm you or disrupt what you got going on, that's because you had things about you that were already disconnected, detached, too attached. Like all of these things that you had going on. So that's why you attracted them. It wasn't because you was just too good of a person. So I'll change that. You attracted them maybe because you had a certain aura, like, or maybe you attracted them because of the state and the energy you was in. Because if it was just simply they were attracted to you because you was too good of a person, they wouldn't have stayed there, because you would have had enough insight, intuition, knowing that, okay, this person don't mean me well, or this person isn't here genuinely for me. They here because of my light or what I possess or what they think I can do for them. But when you got your own insecurities and you feeding off of certain things that you need from them, you need to feel accepted. You need to feel validated. You need to feel included. You allowing them to be there. Like, let's be real. A lot of us who people please, who go out our way and overextend ourselves with people, are being manipulative because we are trying to find a way to keep people coming around us, because we think who we are, the person that we are authentically, we don't think that person is enough because we don't like that person. We don't value that person. And some of us, we despise that person. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Difficulty setting boundaries, struggling to say no and allowing others to overstep their personal limits. Suppress authentic self, hiding their true feelings and thoughts to fit in or avoid conflict. Don't want to tell people the truth because you don't want people to, and let's please not be, oh, I tell people what the truth. Sometimes I can believe, but then in cases I feel like people will tell the truth, but it's like they let it pack on instead of nipping things in the bud right then and there. You knew when she said what she said that ruffled you the wrong way. Why didn't you address it then? You didn't address it then because you was trying to avoid conflict and instead of just saying, okay, sis, when you said sis, I'm trying to get clarification. What did you exactly mean by that? Excessive self-sacrifice, putting others' need before their own, often to the detriment of their well-being. Chronic comparison. Comparing. A lot of us do that. A lot of us be looking, comparing. Some of us got it so bad to the point where we stalk people on social media. We hide people seeing that we coming on their stuff, seeing like we on Instagram and people's stories, but hiding our profile so they don't know we looking at people's story. We hiding ourselves, hiding and turning whatever it is we turning off so people won't see us looking. And you looking because you're comparing, and you're comparing because you competing. That, I feel like comparison, that's why they say comparison is the thief of joy, because it's rooted in competition. All you doing is trying to look at what somebody doing, compare it to you, and if you feel like somehow they shining a little bit more than you feel like you shining, now you about to try to go change something about you. Well, I'm gonna start doing this more. No, be your damn self. Be you, because can't nobody do you but you. I can't do you. You can't do me. If we all just be our damn self, you ain't got to worry about comparing yourself to nobody else, because can't nobody be you but you. Difficulty receiving or nurturing. Don't know how to receive love. And when I say don't know how to receive love, I'm saying we out here, it is people who love us, who see the potential in us and really be trying to give us some sound advice. Even when we don't want to hear that shit. That shit is love. But we don't receive it because we don't want to hear people telling us the truth. We just want people to stroke our ego. We just want people to validate us and pour into us all of the things that make us feel all good and give us that pseudo self-esteem, that pseudo confidence that's not gonna last long until the next time we need another hit of dopamine to tell us that, oh, we wonderful, great people again. But that is love, and we're not receiving that love. We only want to receive the love of what we think love is. The love. That's why people can love bomb us so well. That's why people can come in and shower us with all kind of confidence. A compliment. Oh, you this, you that, and we eating it up because we think that's the only way to express and show love. Somebody just giving you compliments, giving you money, giving you this. We don't think love is somebody giving you sound advice. Somebody telling you when you messing up and you need to fall back a little bit. Somebody telling you when you might need to go get some therapy. You might need to sit on somebody's couch. You might need to write in a journal. You might need to, step away and just work on yourself. That's love as well. Feeling unsafe in softness. I discussed that. That was last week's conversation. And deep mother hunger or distrust of sisterhood. Looking for a mother figure. And I feel like that be some of us too, because we constantly looking for validation and for somebody to tell us, you're doing great, you're doing well, you're so wonderful, you're so beautiful, you got it, sis, go, sis, all that. It's like we're looking for that mother hunger. We looking for somebody to be a mother and say all the things our mothers didn't say to us. So that's what we seeking. And then the distrust of sisterhood. With all of these going on, with all of these traits and all of these things that keep us in our wounded feminine, it definitely detaches us from being connected to our feminine energy. It detaches us from what expressing our true femininity is. It detaches us from having true, genuine connections with other women. The mother wound. What is the mother wound? Because I said our wounded feminine energy a lot of times is rooted in mother wounds and sister wounds. So what is a mother wound? Emotional absence, over responsibility, unmet needs. The term mother wounds refers to a type of emotional trauma resulting from a disrupted or inadequate relationship with one's mother or primary caregiver, impacting the individual's sense of self and relationships. It says it's not a clinical diagnosis, but rather a concept describing the lasting effects of unmet emotional needs and negative experiences within the mother-child wound. This can manifest as difficulties in self-esteem, relationships, and emotional regulation. So that means like if you have relationships with your mother and the relationship with your mom where you felt like your emotions was not met, you wasn't necessarily giving the nurturing that you probably wanted, that you longed for. Like me as a mother raising a daughter, like I used to hug and kiss on my daughter a lot. My daughter got to be maybe around 10, start getting a teenager. I don't do hugs, whatever. I don't like hugs. I hug my daughter anyways. Now, I'm not excessive with it. I respect her boundaries. I respect her space. I realize she said, she don't do hugs, but I'm still your mother. And I know and understand as a woman the importance of having that nurturing affection from your mother is, how important that is. So if I follow my daughter up and just completely be like, oh, well, you don't like hugs no more? Okay, I fall back. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing her a disservice. Yes, she's an individual. Yes, she knows things about herself, but she don't know everything. She's still a child. We all know, they say your frontal lobe, all of that does not even come fully developed until you're 25 years old. So you don't know everything as a 13 and 14-year-old. You're basing things off of maybe how you feel in the moment temporarily because you're going through all kind of hormonal changes and stuff, but you don't know every and anything. So yes, I still hug my daughter. And with me still hugging my daughter, she's receptive to me hugging her. I don't overly do it, but when I do, she's receptive to it because probably deep down inside, she's probably saying, I don't want to do all that hugging stuff all the time. But yes, I do appreciate getting a hug from my mom here and there. And she's going to appreciate it in the long run. It says unpacking, she did the best she could versus, and I still needed more. I do that. I've said that. Like, my mom did the best that she could. She did what she knew. And that's true. That's very true. Your mom did the best that she could. You cannot harbor and hold on to the stuff all your mom did. She did what she could. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that her best was fulfilling. Doesn't mean that your needs were met with her doing her best. Doesn't mean that at all. But it just means that that's out of your hands. What she could do is what she could do in that moment. If she wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to meet your needs, it's nothing you could have done to make her be emotionally intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Emotionally stable. She would have to go on and got help and got counseling. She would have had to unpack that. She would have had to even acknowledge the fact that she has emotional instability. She's emotionally unavailable. She would have had to recognize that on her own. And when you know better, you do better. But if you don't know better, then you gonna do exactly what you know. And if that's the bare minimum, then that's what you gonna give, the bare minimum. And some of our mothers gave us the bare minimum because all they knew was the bare minimum. So yes, that was the best she could do. Doesn't mean that your needs were met. And yes, you still needed more. But once we recognize, like, yeah, you did your best, I needed more than that. Things that I went without, things that I shouldn't have, like recognizing I should not have had to go through that. I shouldn't have had to experience that. I shouldn't have felt neglected in that way. I shouldn't have felt deprived. I shouldn't have felt disconnected. I shouldn't have felt those things at that age growing up as a young little girl. Those things I should have never experienced it, but I did. And you did what you could do. That's what it is. And we have to unpack those things and gain understanding so we don't harbor those feelings and we don't harbor that resentment and that pain in regards to our mothers. It's like acknowledging that and realizing what it is and realizing what the situation is. It allows you to move forward. So I've spoken on how our relationships with our mother influence our friendships, and how we have friendships or relationships with women outside of our mothers. And it also affects like our identity, our self-worth, and how we become mothers. So that could relate to the fact of like you being a mom, you felt like your mom deprived you of things. So then when you become a mom, now you overcompensate for what your mother did by just always giving to your child and never having boundaries enough to say no. And you think that then is making you somebody different, like you're being a different mom, but you still aren't understanding how you are affecting, and due to your own trauma and your mother wounds, how you're affecting the way you mother your child. And how you could be, maybe you're not depriving them of material things, but maybe you're depriving them of the ability to be able to be content with no. Understanding that, fulfillment just doesn't come from things, and finding other ways and means to feel happy and fulfilled in life without always having to have material things or being told yes. I feel like a lot of who I've become as a woman, as a mother, is definitely influenced by my mother. Like I always say, my mom would tell me I was too sensitive and I was too this and too that, like basically sensitive. And with that being said, because I wanted to prove that I wasn't too sensitive, and because I had in my mind that, okay, it's something wrong with being sensitive, I tried to suppress all of that, which then in turn made me very emotional. I became very resentful and very angry with a lot of things, and just, would feel a certain type of way. I might suppress it and then lash out in anger. And that's the wrong way to be, because that's how I felt like I was something wrong with being sensitive. And in reality, it's nothing wrong with being sensitive. Yes, I feel very deeply. Maybe I could have been told how to express my sensitivity in a way where it could have been more beneficial for me to say like, okay, you feel deeply, but here's how you can channel that. Here's how you can work through that. You don't always have to channel, feeling deeply about something to where you want to withdraw or you want to cry, or and even making something wrong with crying. Like there's nothing wrong with crying, you know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing wrong with expressing yourself through crying, because you could cry when you're happy as well. So those things affect how we see ourselves, the way our mother sees us, especially if we are constantly looking for validation from our mom. If we are constantly like, if my mom approves, then it's a go. And it's like, yeah, but if your mom doesn't approve, it doesn't take anything away from your self-worth. Y'all are different people. Y'all are individuals. You come through your mom, not from your mom. So who she is isn't necessarily who you are, or the way you think, or the way you're going to like maneuver through the world. So if she doesn't approve, it's not the end of the world. So I'm asking this question because where we are unpacking and recognize, she did the best she could due to where she was and her level and her state of mind and energy at the time, but you still needed more. So how can you then be that mother for you that you felt like you didn't have with her? So what did you need from your mother that you never received? And how can you give that to yourself? Just reflect on that. Let that be a journal prompt. whatever to think about. Now you have the sister wound. And the sister wound, I would just read what it means. Sister wound refers to the emotional pain and distrust that can develop between women stemming from past hurts, competition, or betrayal within female relationships. It's a pattern of disconnection and hurt that can manifest as jealousy, insecurity, and difficulty forming healthy connections with other women. Healing the sister wound involves acknowledging the pain, challenging negative beliefs, and cultivating supporting relationships. Sister wound, jealousy, mistrust, betrayal among women. I know some people who have, we know you may have that strayed or not strayed, strained relationship with your sister. I see it. Like, I see it between my mom and her sisters, the sister wounds that are there. And it's unfortunate, and sometimes your sister wounds, the strains you have with your sister, is due to your mother wounds. It's due to the mother. It's due to the mother comparing you both. It's due to the mother saying, "Oh, that's why. See how your sister does this, and see how your sister does that." Or it could be the opposite, where, well, your sister need help. She not like you. She need this from you, and we got to do a little bit more. And as parents, I don't think our parents like realize like the influence or the impact they have when they put certain things on their children in regards to situations going on between their siblings. Like me as a mother, I ain't saying I'm perfect, but I try to leave whatever my kids got going on. I try to allow them to find their own resolve and work stuff out on their own without trying to jump into everything, because it's like I don't want to put more on that of the favoritism or calling them out or whatever the case may be. So I will try to do that much to make them work things out. I try to be as equal and fair as possible, but in certain circumstances, like, you gotta call your kids out, especially if they're mistreating the other kid. Like, you definitely do. I'm not saying don't do that, but if you can kind of step out and allow them to figure things out on their own, you give them a greater chance, I feel, to where they start getting older and they learn how to defuse and solve their problems on their own without running and putting you in between it for you to kind of figure it out. And then it's resentment because this child, this child felt like you're showing favoritism, and it just becomes a thing. So it's like, yeah, I try to allow my children to figure things out more on their own without involving me. And when it comes to sister wounds, like I said, I do feel like a lot of times it's the mothers, or it's the older women, the older figures, who will pin the women against each other. Oh, she's this and she's that. Like, it happens, I think, in every family, like, because I know, like, for me, because I'm the oldest granddaughter out of all of the grandkids, then like I was put to a certain level to say, oh, you're the influence. You supposed to be the influence for your younger cousins. You're supposed to do this. You supposed to reach out. Like, who gave that description? Like, where is the definition that says that because I'm the oldest granddaughter that I have a level of responsibility over? Like, no. Like, that doesn't mean that. Just because I'm the oldest, it doesn't mean that it's something that my younger cousins can't help me with, or they can't give me some knowledge or understanding with. Like, don't put that pressure on me. And it used to really weigh on me, because it was like I couldn't live for myself. I had to live for I had to live for the expectations they put on me to be the example for the younger cousins. Like, that's a lot of pressure y'all trying to put on me, and I ain't even got no kids. I can't even be out here living my life. I can't make the mistakes I need to make because I'm sitting here worrying about, well, how this gonna look for them. Like, that's should not be my cross to bear. That should not be my baggage to carry. Raise your children. Like, them your kids. Them your children. Raise your kids. And if I'm doing something wrong, if I did something wrong, then you express and explain to him or her and say, okay, yeah, I know that wasn't a good decision, this, that, and the third. It ain't for me to try to live my life in a way that's going to help you influence your child in the right direction. That don't need to be on me, where it starts to try to be normalized of comparing children to one another. Like, oh, your cousin doing this, or look at what your sister doing. Like, stop doing that. We are all individuals. And I had to stop myself because I realized that I used to do that with, I would use the older kids as cautionary tales for the younger kids. And I realized, like, why am I doing that? Like, that's still a level of trying to compare and compete. And, like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to use things as a cautionary tale. I can talk to you about what you're doing without having to compare it to what somebody else is doing. Like, listen, this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this because da 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 da. I don't have to be like, you see how your such and such ended up. You see where they at now. And we got to get out the habit of doing that because, for one, we are not allowing that person to grow from their mistakes. We're not allowing them the opportunity to grow from the image or perception we had them at when they were making a mistake. They grown up. They probably ate. Why are we still going back to what they used to do? Why aren't we uplifting them where they at? Or even if they going through some struggles right now, we still should be uplifting them, but we can't uplift them if we steady talking about all the trouble they got going on. And then on the other side, you try to hold a certain child to hold everybody to an expectation of a certain child to say, oh, well, you see, she did this. She went to college. She got to this. She got to that. It's great for her. That's her life. I remember one time my mom came to me and was like, you need to talk to your cousin because she saying she's not going to finish college. And, you need to talk to her. Why? First of all, she's grown. Okay. She's 20, 22, 20. I don't care. She's grown. She's out of high school. If she wants a break and she wants to stop, that's her right. Who am I to come in here to tell her don't do that? Especially me. I took plenty breaks in college, okay? Took break, went to a new college, took a break. Like, who am I to tell somebody not that, like, you need to go back to school? I don't know what she needs to do. It might not be in the cards for her to go to college. I'm not going to push that on her. I'm not going to put an expectation on her that she has to fulfill. This is her life. Allow her to journey through it the way she needs to journey through it. I feel like that's where a lot of sister wounds come in and your sister wound don't necessarily have to come from a legitimate biological sister. Like I said, it could be constantly being compared to a cousin or constantly being compared to friends. Like, I've seen parents that do that. Their child will have a friend and they'll be like, you see what she do? You see she listened to her mama. You see she do what she told to do. You see she does this and she does that. And it's like, why do that to a child? All you're doing is creating resentment between this child and her friend. Let her have her friend. You don't have to use other people to make a point or to instill certain things in your child. Like, find other means and other ways. If your child ain't getting it just by you talking and actually tapping in, asking why, being concerned of why this is going on and having a conversation, taking them to counseling. If you done did all of those things, listen, it might be just time to let it go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Whether your sister wound comes from how you were treated or mistreated in comparison to whether it's your real sister or a friend or a cousin or whomever. These things result in these trauma bonding relationships you find yourself in. Finding yourself connecting with people who can relate to what you experience with sisters. You relating to how you were mistreated, or you wasn't favored, or you was the outcast or the ugly duckling, as they say. So you start to bond with people like that, and those relationships don't last, because all you both are doing is just feeding yourself with trauma and just bonding off of woe is me and bonding off of being the victim. No one is trying to heal, and no one is trying to grow. No one is trying to say, you know what, I can still love my sister. It's the same thing with the mother wound, like recognizing like that's your sister and they did the best that they could do through the circumstances. And sometimes you will see that a lot of the stuff that they went through is the result of your mother or, adults in the family, and some unbeknownst to them. Now, yeah, granted, you get to an age where you start to recognize, you can recognize some things and see that is wrong. But if you've been conditioned to accept that, or you've been conditioned that this is the way you're supposed to be treated versus how your sister is treated, then that's going to be a conditioning that you have to come out of, and that just don't happen overnight, because when you're conditioned, like, that's something you got to unlearn and then relearn something else. It's a lot of layers and a lot of things to unpack there. So it's no need to hold on to it, because it just goes into trauma bonding relationships, just unhealed, toxic relationships. You can't form great friendships based off of the relationship you've had with your sister, because like they say, when you grow up with a sister around your age, like, that's like your first friend. Like, that's like your first friend besides your mother. So it's like, when you don't have that healthy relationship with your sister, and you have this wounded relationship, all you're going to do is then start to have a wounded relationship with other women in your life. And this causes like the friendship trauma and stuff like that. And the friendship trauma is like just not healthy, great relationships. And in a sense, like, I feel like in some instances, like, you carry that baggage from the relationship you have with your sister, and you carry it into your friendship. It's kind of like, I say, for instance, because I'm trying to, I want to say what I want to say, but I'm trying to avoid saying what I need to say. It's kind of like this from my experience. Like, I had a friendship with someone, and to me, I felt like they has a multitude of issues with their own sister. Their sister was around their age, younger, but still around our age. And I definitely felt like this person felt like she wasn't treated fairly compared to her sister, because this was something she would discuss a lot in regards to me. And in certain instances, as I've gotten older and even reflecting back, I feel like the relationship that she would have wanted to have with her sister, she kind of like put that on me. Like, I kind of came in and became the friend sister that she probably wanted to have with her own sister. So, a lot of times she would, speak to me and indulge things and reveal things at how she felt, in regards to her sister. And I would try to be helpful and say, well, try this and try that. Not initially, because initially I'm like, dang, that's messed up. That's selfish. That's this, that's that. But I start to realize that I think that's what she was looking for me to do. you know, and it's cool and everything. But the problem is as soon as I say and do something that she don't like, or if I say something to her she don't like, then she's going to that same sister and she's going to talk about me in the same way, in the same instance with that same sister, and looking for that sister to talk about me in the way that I would have talked about her. Like going back to, like I say, when you have these wounded feminine, you play victim. So as soon as your friend don't say something you like or do something you like, you run into your sister and you telling your sister, and then your sister is like, oh, she this, she that, she that, just feeding your own insecurity because you feel away. And once I started to realize that and was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not helping, because at the end of the day, that's her sister and I'm just a friend. And through it all, she gonna pick her sister over me all day long. So it's no need for me to get in between sisters and try to choose a side. So I would just try my best to, like, talk about resolve. Like, well, have you tried to talk to her about this? Well, maybe you should talk to her about that. Maybe you should mention it. Maybe you should approach it this way. Like, now I'm going to try to find resolve, because I don't want to be in the middle of whatever trauma y'all got going on. And I also don't want to be the cause or be the reason of why something didn't get mended with you and your sister. Like, I want you to, if she decided that she didn't want to mess with her sister no more, I wanted that to be something that her thought. Not because Melissa said, or yeah, Melissa did say. No, I want it to be solely you, solely your thoughts, solely your decision. I don't want to have nothing to do with that. And yeah, I do feel like our friendship was heavily affected based off of the fact that her mother wounds and her sister wounds. And I think that's why it heavily affected our friendship and our relationship. And, a lot of the reasons why we not friends. Because I won't say that's a lot of the reason we're not friends. We're not friends because I chose to step away, and I chose to close that relationship. And I feel like I chose to close that chose to close that relationship because I felt like it was time. Like, sometimes when you've grown, and I just know that I've grown, and I know that what you want from me I can no longer provide. So I can't be that friend anymore who's gonna sit on the phone with you and talk about your sister and how horrible of a person she is and how messed up that is and how she shouldn't. I just can't do that anymore. That's just not me. You know what I'm saying? I could sit here all day and trauma bond with you, or I could sit here and say, well, how can we grow and evolve from this? Because I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to move on. I ain't trying to sit in the mess. Okay? And that's when it comes to community healing. Like, I'm trying to heal. You should be trying to heal. Let's try to heal things together, because as a friendship, like, she had her experiences with her mom. I had my experiences with my mom. And we very could have utilized that to heal together through our own mother wounds. But, when you unhealed, and when you're not in a place where you want to heal, you will find yourself just wanting to trauma bond, just sit in the pity, in the abyss of why people doing me so wrong, which keeps us in this victim mentality. And it's like, that don't do anything for us. That doesn't help us heal. That doesn't help us grow to any levels or any means. So this reflection prompt for that is, do I truly feel safe around other women, or do I keep my guard up out of habit? Do you truly feel safe around other women, or do you keep your guard up out of habit? Now, I would say I used to keep my guard up. I did. I used to very well keep my guard up. I used to very well, just observe and watch and just watch people. And I still do. I still observe and I still watch people. I'm a Virgo moon. I'm observing. But I don't do it out of being guarded and trying to close people out and shut out. I'm just observing. That's just me. I'm a people watching person. But I used to be that way. And I used to feel like I had to be on pins and needles, and I had to watch what I say because I don't want to offend somebody. And, I got to watch them because I don't know if they're trying to be shady or what it is. Like, so I was like that. And it was due to my own insecurities and my own wounded feminine energy, and a lot to do with my mother wounds. And I could tell because the way I raised my daughter, I'm so proud of my daughter. And I love the fact that my daughter says to me, like, I'll play around her with certain stuff and she'll be like, I don't worry about that, or I'm confident. Like, you raised me to be confident. Like, when my daughter says that to me, you raised me to be confident. You raised me not to think like that. You raised me like this. That, y'all don't understand, like, how defining that is to me as a mother. Because we don't know. I do the best that I can by my kids. I don't get it right all the time, but I don't know how effective what I'm doing is. So when I hear my daughter say, oh, you raised me to be confident, you raised me to be this, it's like, okay, like, she gets it. Because I want my daughter to walk in any room, knowing, like, I'm her. And I don't need anybody to give me the space or make me feel safe to be her. And I wanted her to refrain from that because that's how I felt. I felt like I had to, like, be given the space in the room to be myself instead of just being myself. And now when I come in the room, I'm me. I feel comfortable being me. Like, I'm gonna be me. I come in there by myself. I come in there, like, just, chilling, doing whatever. And it is what it is. Like, I'm not stressing it. Like, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, cool. Nothing is changing in regards to me if I'm being intentional and doing right by me and doing right by others. So the steps towards healing that feminine energy. Practicing being the mother to yourself that you felt like you didn't have. When I asked the reflection prompt or journal prompt and it says, what did I need from my mother that I didn't receive or I never received? Like, I feel like start there. Like, really write down the things that you felt like you never received from your mother. Love, affection, your mother being proud of you, your mother telling you she loved you. I feel like a lot of us as Black women can have said that, like, never heard my mom said she loved me. Never heard my mom say, like, I can recall, like, me talking to my mom. My mom never said, like, when we got off the phone, I love you. I start saying that to my mom. I would initiate, I love you. And you know why I start saying it to my mom? Because I would say that to my kids. Like, when I put my kids on the bus or when I send my kids off at school, I love you. Like, I start saying that to my children because I wanted my children to be confident and aware of, like, love, like expressing love. Like, I didn't want them to feel awkward about saying I love you or expressing love or affection or your sentiments towards a family member or someone that you love. So I started saying that, and because it was such a habit saying that to my children whenever we get off the phone or anytime, and because me and my husband would say it to each other, I started saying it to my mom, like, oh, all right, I love you. And then she would be like, and I could tell the first time I said it to her, that's when I realized, oh shoot, because it was out of habit. She was like, I love you, like I love you, you know, and got off the phone like, oh okay, yeah, like this is something new. We don't do this. And I'm like, oh shoot, like that probably caught her off guard because that's not something that we've ever established between us. Like, you know, my mom might have told me that here and there, but that wasn't a common thing. And, you know, my mom was very impatient with me. So it was like, yeah, her, okay, yeah, now I'm not going now. Like, I hear sons say that about their mom, like, oh, I didn't receive that from my mom. My mama didn't really tell us she loved us. My dad, or you'll hear them say my dad, but that happens to women too. Trust me, black men, it's a lot of black women out here who can tell you like affection between their mother, whether you a girl or not, it don't got nothing to do with that. It sometimes have to do with your mother's own pains and traumas and things that they've not healed from. And that's why we can't take it personal and feel like, oh, you know, and hold on to it like, oh, my mom never gave me this. I never received what I needed. My needs were never met from my mom because she probably ain't never got her needs met from her mother, and so on and so on. And that's just the generational curse. But we have the opportunity to be generational curse breakers. So I can break the curse. I am proud to say that I've broken the curse, because for my daughter to say, oh, you taught me to be confident, I'm not going to feel like this because you taught me to be confident in myself, to love myself. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, that was the assignment. I didn't know if I met it, but okay. Answer that question, or answer those questions. Write those things down. Once you write those things down, you know what I'm saying? See if you do those things for yourself. You know, see how often you tell yourself you love you. See how often you're kind to yourself and don't beat yourself up when you make mistakes, or don't talk down on yourself when you mess up or get something wrong. Like, how do you forgive yourself? Do you easily forgive yourself? Do you hold a grudge with yourself? Like, how do you treat yourself? And then once you compare like how you treat yourself, look at it and see if how you treat yourself aligns with the things your mother never met for you, the needs she never met, the things she never gave you that you never received. And from that point, you can then say, okay, these are the things I need to start working on. This is the way that I can start showing up and being the mother for me that I couldn't receive from my mother. Learn how to be vulnerable with yourself enough to feel safe with yourself, and learn how to soothe yourself as well. I would say for you to help you heal through the sister wound, start being that friend to yourself. You know, learn how to be a friend to yourself. Learn how to express those feelings once again. Get a journal, like allow yourself, because you know how we so used to picking up the phone and calling your friend or calling your sister and God, you know, telling everything this got going on. Like, open your journal, write it to yourself. Sometimes we just need to get stuff out, right? Sometimes we go run to a friend or a sister or a family member to tell them something because I feel like it's our emotions, our mind, our body just signaling us to just get it out. And we think getting it out means we gotta go tell somebody, like physically tell somebody. But sometimes getting it out is just simply symbolic to like taking it from here, and from in your body, taking it out and just putting it out there, releasing it. So maybe release it and write it in a journal. Write it out. You want to say it, write it in that journal. You know, take it, rip it up, burn it, release it. Release it, like release all of the secret, the negative thought, whatever it is. Tell it to yourself. Be your own best friend. Know how to take yourself out. Know how to have fun with yourself. Know how to be the friend and the sister for you that you felt like you didn't have growing up. And that way you will start learning how to have genuine connections and real sisterhood, because how you treat yourself is how you're going to treat others. So yeah, I don't when I come to realizations about things about me, I don't take it out on me. I don't look at me like I'm a horrible person. So that way, when I'm talking to any other woman and they may say some things or some things may be revealed, I don't look at them like, oh, you so horrible. Oh my gosh. No, like, you a human being, maybe need to work on some things, because we all need to work on some things. Those are some things that you could just work on. Don't mean that it's the end of the world. Don't mean that you a horrible person, and it allows me to not be judgmental towards them and treat them accordingly, because I'm not judgmental towards myself. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts. Invite somebody to watch this, share this with your friends, share this with whoever, and maybe y'all can sit and have a discussion about this. Take this time to reflect on some wounds that you may have in regards to your mother or sister-like relationships or mother-like relationships, and just like talk about it, share it with each other if you don't want to share it in the comments, and just explore them a little deeply. Definitely, like I said, you can read the full Letters from Her Mind with me talking about the relationships with our mothers and how they influence our friendships. And I'm going to leave y'all with this last quote. This is an affirmation, not a quote, so we can wrap it up. The affirmation is, I honor my softness. I nurture the girl within. I open my heart to sisterhood. I will have the links down there so you can read more of Letters from Her Mind, my blog on bellamondit.com. And you can also join us if you're looking for a place to heal that wounded feminine energy, to heal your feminine energy. You can definitely come and join my community for free, Attract Your Tribe. You just go sign up at www.bellamondit.com/community. I don't know why I say www, but you could go check that out. This month, right now, as we're speaking, the theme of the month is tapping into our feminine energy. So this might be a great time to go on over and sign up so you can start healing that wounded feminine right there with us, or connecting to that connecting to that feminine energy, however you choose to put it, because that's where we start. And then when you sign up, you do get a free 7-day The Soft Girl Era workbook, Journey to Your Feminine Energy, so you will get that as well. On that note, if this episode spoke to you, if you have something to add, please invite anyone to watch and share and all those good things, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings.